Hello, so it's Larry with Vantora. Again, we're going to take a comprehensive look at packages today, show you how to build a package, and go through all the features that are in a package. So if we go to Settings, Registration, and then we're going to move down to Packages, it will list all the packages we have. So on this particular site, we have one package already here. It's called the standard package. Let's create a new package, and we'll step through every one of the options one at a time. So the first thing is the name. What are we going to call this thing? So let's assume that we're going to start doing a Nerf package. So maybe we call it Nerf Party, Nerf Package, Nerf Birthday Party, whatever you want to name this particular package. Then there's the cart description. This you can leave blank. If you're monetizing this particular package, which we're going to do down here, we will talk about monetizing it. But if you're going to monetize it, this is where the description in the cart is going to show up. Now, the default is registration deposit. So if somebody's doing a registration, you're going to make them pay $100 to do this Nerf party. It will by default say registration deposit $100. But if it was perhaps payment in full $100, you wouldn't want this to say registration deposit, which is the default. So you can add in whatever you want. You can change that. So if something is in here, it will use that. So you could put payment for Nerf party, and then it's going to give the amount $100, whatever the case is. So for now, we're going to leave it blank. Minimum players in the group. So if we kick this up to say 6, because maybe when we're doing Nerf parties, we don't want just 2 kids showing up, because shooting one-on-one would be kind of boring. We want them to at least have a 3-on-3. So we're going to say minimum players in the group is 6. So this means if somebody says they want to do a booking for 4 people, they won't even see this option because they're not hitting the minimum for that package. Then the same thing is true for maximum players in the group. Perhaps your Nerf field is set up to where the most people you can have playing is 20 people. And so you could set that for 20 players in the group, and then so if somebody puts in they got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 18, 19, 20, they're going to see this package. They put in they have 47 people, we won't offer them this particular package. All right. So maximum groups here. 1 is a good minimum, but we can go to as many groups as we want. So what's the purpose of this? Let's assume that you have a dedicated field for your Nerf, and it can hold 20 people at a time. That's all. The biggest you want to play on there is a 10 against 10. But how you run your games is they play for 10 minutes, and then they come walking off the field, and another group plays for 10 minutes. And you could have 2 groups going because they're going to alternate back and forth. But you wouldn't want a 3rd group because then people are going to wait too long in between. So here you can say the most number of groups I want participating in a Nerf party at any given time is 2. The max players in any given group is 20, and the total number of guns I have is 40. So then that all works out. So I can have up to 20 in a group, 2 of them up to 40 people. Now, if one of these groups happen to be 10, then it wouldn't allow the other ones to do 30 because we still have our limitation there. Let's suppose we only had 30 guns total. Okay, so here we're saying up to 6 to 20 players in a group. We can run 2 groups, but a total max of 30, which means if one group books in for 20 people at say 10 in the morning, another group of 20 couldn't book in because then it will grab this limitation. Only 30 people can be in this group at any given time. But it would allow a group of 15 and a group of 15, or a group of 20 and then a group of 10. A group of 6 and a group of 6 could book in. Now you're only using 12 people between it, but that's the way it's going to work. So you can set your parameters. How many people do you want to come in? Lots of times you may have a situation where there kind of are no limits. You can have a ton of people coming in, but if there are limits, this is where you do it. If you're dealing with a situation where there are no limits, you can bypass limits. So what this number is If you remember when you set up your registration off settings and registration general, there's a hard setting for how many total people do you want in your facility at any given time. And maybe you have that set at 150 or 200 or whatever. But perhaps you're going to hold a giant Nerf party and you're going to allow 150 people to come when normally your limit was 100, or you're going to allow 1,000 people to come. You're doing a big scenario game and you want hundreds of people booking in all at 9 in the morning. You can bypass the normal limits, and then whatever you set here is what they set. So this will not affect other reservations as far as how many people can come in total for your facility at any given time. This then only uses these numbers. All right, so next is equipment, and we don't have any equipment listed here. You have the ability off settings and equipment. I'm going to open this in a new tab so we can see. You can set rental equipment. So for example, I could make some equipment called Nerf guns. And I can say that I have 30 of them. Okay, now I'm going to update that. And now if we go back to our package here, I'd have to refresh this, but then I would lose some of this. Here, we will update this at the moment. That way I can go in and I can edit this thing. And now when I go to equipment, I can say that this has Nerf guns. So that's only going to allow 30, if I have 30 people booked or 20 people booked, it's going to take those 20 Nerf guns out of inventory. Well, we're accomplishing the same thing here to a point. But let's suppose I had two different Nerf parties. We had a silver and we had a gold. And the silver one lasts for an hour, the gold lasts for 2 hours. So I could have two different packages, and both for different times, both allowing different number of people, but both of them pull from the same group of Nerf guns. Okay. Now, overall, not a lot of people need this feature or use this feature. I tell everybody, if you're going to run out of guns, buy more guns. But if you have a particular need to tie it to a piece of equipment that is shared between multiple packages, this is how you would do that. So there's all our settings so far. Next is the payment type. So payments for this thing, there's multiple ways to monetize a package, and we can do it by event or by player. So for example, we know our default is just registration deposit. So if I leave it by event and say 50 in here, what that's going to do is for somebody to check out, it's going to say registration deposit, and it's going to make them pay $50. Okay. Now the other way of doing this is I could say it's by player and make it 10. If I'm doing it by event, whether or not they book 6, 18, 15, it doesn't matter. It's still going to charge them the $50. But if I do it by player, now if they book 6 people, it's going to be $60. If they book 20 people, it's going to be $200. So do you want to charge by event or by player? Now, if you wanted to do something and it's payment in full, including sales tax, we have 8% sales tax here. So I would change that to 10.825. It's 8 1/4 actually. So I'm going to make it $10.82 if they're doing it with including the sales tax, and by player, then I'm going to change my cart description to payment in full. And now when we ring it out, if there's going to be 10 people, it's going to take 10 times that, say payment in full, and that'll be the amount they pay, including the sales tax. All right. So next is booking interval. Let's take a look at a booking interval. So that is, when do you want these people to come in? Let's assume that we pop this on a calendar and we say that we open at 10 in the morning. If I have a 30-minute booking interval, it means we will allow people to book in at 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, etc. The other option is we could take it up to a 60-minute, and then they can book at 10 or 11 or 12 or 1, or a 120-minute, and then they can book at 10 or 2, or 10 and noon and 2 and 4, etc. So here you set your booking interval. Next is duration. So how long does this package last? Now, on our particular field, we don't kick people out after a certain amount of times, but we still have to deal with about how long are people at our facility. Just like if you're booking a restaurant and you do a reservation for 4 and they say, yeah, we can fit in 4 at this time, You're telling them when you're getting there. You're not telling them necessarily when you're leaving, but they just know based on their history that the average person at their restaurant eats for an hour or for 45 minutes or for an hour and a half. It depends on what type of restaurant it is and how their menus are set up, etc. So you have to kind of figure out your duration. How long are people going to be there? So let's say 2.5 hours for this Nerf party. Now, last available booking time in minutes. So this number is how long before you close do you want to set the last time? So for example, let's suppose we're open until 8 p.m. So if we're open until 8 p.m. and our duration is 2.5 hours, that would mean my last available booking would be at 5:30. Well, we know that the average group is here for 2.5 hours, but some people may want to come in just for 2 hours. So if I set that to 120 minutes, that's the last available booking before we close. So before we close for the day, the last booking is 120 minutes before we close. So I'm going to allow you to come in at 6. You can book a 6 o'clock slot. We do close at 8, so you're not going to get 2.5 hours. But if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that as well. Okay, so that's how that situation works. So here we have a 30-minute booking interval. It's going to cost us $10.82 per player as a payment in full. Minimum days out. So if you set this to 0 and somebody wakes up on a Saturday morning and you have availability Saturday afternoon, they can book it. If you make this a 1, then they have to book it at least before midnight the day before. If you make this a 2, they have to book it before midnight on the day before that. So if I'm doing a private group where we're opening up during the week and I have to staff it and make special adjustments, this minimum days out might be 3 or 4. If it's something where I'm open on a normal day, then I'm going to make that number low to 0 or maybe 1. We'll do it the day before. Show party name, yes or no. So normally this would be yes if you're dealing with parties. People like putting in it's Billy's birthday party or it's Janet's birthday party or it's Bob's bachelor party, etc. But let's suppose you were doing building a package for a clinic where you're going to teach people how to do something on the paintball field. Here's a special clinic we're doing, and you can book in 1, 2, 3 people, etc. We don't want to ask what's the name of your party because it's not a party. They're registering for a clinic, okay? Or if they're registering for a large scenario paintball game, they don't actually have a name for their party. They have their name. If you make it to where a name is not required, it will still give a party name, but the party name is going to be the same as the customer name. So it's just going to duplicate it. But so here we want to book Billy's Nerf party or Janet's Nerf party. So we're going to say yes, show the party name. Next is the short description. If you put in a short description, you will have short description presentation, which looks much cleaner on your website. So I would highly suggest you do this, even in lieu of doing a large description. So for example, let's say here's something I had written before. Nerf parties are $25 each with a 10-person minimum. Here we're going to change this to $10 each to match how we're building our package. 1.5 hours of Nerf fun followed by a half-hour table time for food and drinks. We're saying it's a little longer than that, so heck, let's say it's 2 hours of Nerf fun followed by a half hour. So that gives us our full duration here. And so there's what our package says. Private Nerf parties are just $10 each, etc. Now, we're going to say it's not a private Nerf party. We're just going to say it's a Nerf party, $10 each, and we have a 6-person minimum. So we're going to change that. All right, this just happens to be one I built for somebody else, so it's showing up in my cache here. But so Nerf parties just $10 each with a 6-person minimum, 2-hour Nerf fun followed by that. So that gives them just a quick description. It limits how many characters we can put here. I can do another 24 characters if I want. Perfect. And it's doing a countdown for me. You can see now I'm down to 15. Ages 4 and up, period. So that's pretty much all the characters I can fit in there. All right, so now let's add a package graphic. If I click on this, it gives me some options here. And one of the options we have is Nerf. And so here's some Nerf pictures I can choose. So I could grab this picture or that picture or just the Nerf logo. Here's some kids with a rival gun, or here's a kid with a standard gun. So we will select that one. Let's suppose that's the package we want. Next, there's a long description, the description, which is the longer description. This is the short one, this is the long one. If you wanted to add more information in here, you can. And this has a WYSIWYG editor, or you can do it in HTML. So for example, I could put some stuff in here that says the Nerf parties all will include the use of our guns and ammo. If children want to bring their own guns, they can, etc., etc. Okay, so I can type whatever I want in here. After I'm done typing it, that's in normal stuff here. I can grab chunks and I can make that red, bold, italics, etc. So I have my little editor here. If I look at the HTML, here it is doing it all in HTML. So if you know how to write HTML, you can add additional things here. For example, maybe you even want to link to another image. I want to pull this image down to here. If I right click, I can copy the image location. So that'll tell me where that image is, and that's out on the Vantora site. Now I can do a img src equals, and then just paste in that and do align equals right. So that's going to grab that image, put it on the right, and then wrap our other stuff around it. If we go back, take a look now, there we are. So here's our longer description. We could type as much stuff as we want, make things bold, etc. Next is terms and conditions. Anytime you're collecting people's money, it's nice to give them terms and conditions. If you put anything in here, it will pop up a message when they're going through the registration that says you must agree to the terms and conditions, and they have to check the box. So if you want to put there are no refunds unless we are notified 48 hours in advance of your party, or something along those lines, just so if they last minute don't show up and you want to keep their money, you had it in their terms and conditions of what was it. So put whatever you want for terms and conditions in there. Then confirmation email blurb. So all of the packages will automatically send a default email out. Let's just take a look at one. So if I go into my email settings here, then I can take a look at my confirmation email. So I'm going to open that in a new tab. So if I look at a confirmation email, let's preview it. Okay, so here's an email, and it says that congratulations, your reservation is complete. Here's the name of the event, which package you got, the date, the number of guests, etc., etc., reservation deposit, etc. So this is just a generic one that it kicks out. Now, you can add stuff to any of the confirmation emails. So I'm going to close this. We can put an overall note, don't forget to order pizza from Pizza Bob at 555-555-5555. So now if we save those changes, we're going to tell them don't forget to order from Pizza Bob. We can put this at the bottom, or we can put this at the top of the email. So if it's at the bottom and we preview it, you'll see that at the bottom of the email we have a line here, don't forget to order pizza from Pizza Bob, and there's the number for Pizza Bob. So now let's grab this and let's center it, and let's make it bold. In fact, let's kick the font size up just a little bit. We're going to make it 14, and now let's move it to the top instead. So I'm going to save those changes. Okay. Now this is all off settings and our general settings for this. Now if we preview this again, we're going to see it's up at the top. Don't forget to order pizza from Pizza Bob. Maybe I want a little space in there, so we're going to add a couple of breaks before that. And I'm going to turn that into a different color. We're going to make it, I don't know, blue. And now I'm going to save these changes again. And whoops, I didn't make it blue, did I? I made it red. Okay, so now we're going to make it blue. All right, there's blue. And now I'm going to save these changes. And now we're going to preview, and we have a couple of spaces at the top now. And here's our don't forget to order from Pizza Bob, etc. Okay, so there's a general overall blurb for the a party. And that'll go on every registration, and that's off email settings, your confirmation blurb. There's also a reminder blurb, but we can add specific notes to a specific package. So for example, on this confirmation email, maybe we want to put remember, kids can bring their own Nerf guns. Okay, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to center that as well, and I'm going to make that red. And now if we update this, okay, when that email goes out, it will add that note to the others, and we can take a look at that in a little bit. So now we've darn near finished creating this party here. So let's go in and take another look. We have a short description, we have a long description, we have a confirmation. We can actually add a reminder note too. So this goes out 2 days before the event. We can choose to make a package visible or not visible. So why the heck would you want to make one not visible? Let's assume that you were doing a special clinic and it was invitation only. You could make it not visible but run a direct link to it. So there's all the aspects of building a package. Now let's just take a quick look. Let's take our registration available dates, and we're going to toss this package. Here's our Nerf package, and let's put it on the calendar for the 21st. And so we can just see what it looks like. So now on that day, I've got the standard package and the Nerf party. Okay, so now let's go pretend I'm a customer. So I'm just going to go to the stock site. Okay, boom, boom. So this allows me to book, and I can see that if I book in one person, I'm not going to see the option for the Nerf party. There's just a standard package. Pretty boring. We don't have any description on that. Let's now instead change the numbers. Say I'm bringing in 6 people. Since we have a 6-person minimum, we can see that if we scroll down, there's our Nerf party. So now let's assume, and from here, let's just take a quick look. So here's our Nerf party. Let's get more info. So when it blows up, there's our more info. We didn't have much info in our more info, but we can add as much in there as we want. If I click on the available day, we can see that we have our half-hour booking intervals, 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, etc. That day is set to close at 6 p.m., so we're closed. So our last booking is 2 hours before we close. So all the information that we put in there is there. Let's suppose I want the Nerf party up above the other party, though. I don't like the fact that it's after the standard package. So I'm going to go back into my admin, and if you go to your settings, registration, packages, you will see on the left of the name there's what's called a hamburger menu, these 3 little things. If I mouse over, it says move to change order. If I click, I can drag it above the other one and let go of it. All right, so at that point, now, if I go in, it will allow me to go in and see that that change has actually happened. Let's go in here, and we're going to do another reservation. And when I do my reservation now, and I say I'm bringing in 10 people, the top package is the Nerf party, and then the other package happens next. So that's how to create a package. Now, they sit here and they say, okay, they want to book. And you can see here's some other thoughts for you. So we added some more blurbs here. We're saying payment full $10.82, and there's 10 people I booked in, so it'll be $108.20. If instead of 10 people, I change the number and I say I want to bring in 20 people, now it's going to, when I do my reservation, it's going to say that I owe $216.40 because that will be the money plus the tax. So, and we're just asking for the name, email, name of the party, because we decided to, and a contact phone number. You can add custom fields to this. That's a whole different video. So, and you can monetize those custom fields, but there is everything you need to know to set up basic packages and set their orientation, which ones appear first, how to set their numbers, etc. If you ever have any questions on this, need any help, always feel free to give us a call and we'll be glad to help you.